Hey everyone, welcome back. Another episode on Richards Cosmo. I got the floors all unpicked and fit my floors I made a few episodes ago. Reshaped the accelerator pedal area and made these side pieces that were all rotted out. So we'll go back a few days and show you how I made all these pieces. So to get started on the lower quarter now, get it all tipped to shape. I've just got it roughed out at the moment, so I'll do my edges first, then I've got my reference points for everything, and then I'll add these on after that. So the same as every other time with the edges, just tipping die on the bead roller. It's probably my most used tool in the shop. Does everything, gets used every single day to start all my flanges off. And you just keep going with it, lap after lap after lap. It'll slowly pull it around, then you just shrink and stretch what is required. So just tapping the edge of the flange over this die, alternating between the high crown and the flat depending on where it is. I use the high crown in a radius. To this point here, which is enough for now. You can sharpen it up more as you go. And for the bigger flange, just use the slapper on the same die. Just gets it to that point. You can sharpen it up further, the same. So before anyone points out these are different, this one is 55 and this one is 65, and the floor also steps up 5mm here and there, so we'll copy all that and make it exactly the same. There's my chicken scratches for the folds to be turned up, which are these areas. Got to be turned up to be in the same plane, and then yeah, box it all in by strategically cutting it, and I probably have to add two little triangle pies. Now annoyingly, this is not as easy as the sill piece that only has one fold along here. This has got another return up, so I can't just cheat two little slits there and pull it all in, because this area just needs to be stretched so much. So I might actually take that square out and I'll remake those center sections. Not as easy as just doing them like this on a single fold. Added my brake lines with the bead roller and the tipping die, just one single lap over it, and fucking focus, Jesus. I'll cut this area here now, and then bring that to the same face. I'll just cut it like that, so that I'm not cutting on the joint. I'm not going to TIG on the very edge of anything. I'd like to make all my folds and stuff, and then I'll just TIG the center section in. That way I can planish it all nice instead of just welding on the edge and grinding it. So just TIG the two center patches in. So ugly. I've only got a fat tungsten left. I'm gonna go get new tungsten tomorrow. Just gonna grind all that shit off now and planish it back up. Alrighty, so these two sections added in, steps up here as well. And then you got the kick in with this area that's added. So just going to give it a little bit more. So this will be the inner floor piece, which is this. It has a return back this way, and it also has a bead up for this pillar piece. So I'll probably end up making it to about here, depending on how far it is rusty in the black one. So I've set the fence up with my custom tooling to do the bead in this panel. Now I'll run it through. Went off track a little bit because this vibrated loose. I'm having a lot of trouble with the dovetail actually clamping on there properly. It just vibrates loose randomly when you're using it, no matter how tight you do these up. I want to build like a a linear axis for this, just using 2 linear tracks this way and then put a linear track this way, so I can put little toe clamps on and actually clamp the panel to it, and that way I've got a nice smooth axis that'll run things square and I never have to run into this issue again. Okay, so I've run that. Just going to switch tooling now to finish the ends off, and I've made that tooling a while back. It's just a finishing bead tool. So there's no machine action on this one, I just manually clamp it down, then just tighten the post so it squashes it. It's like a press. So I've got to do the return down here, and then I've got to draw the bead roll for the door opening, and I think there's another 2 folds here to do as well. So I just make a template of the inner radius of the bead and transfer it over. And for the step down, just use these step dies a little bit deeper than the 1/8. Okay, so that's added. That's this. Now, thankfully it's not too rotted out here. I can cheat and probably keep this bead, do a tiny little weld on that split, which is nice. I don't have to add the beads the whole way, I can just join along here. We've got this fold that blends out into nothing there, which I've added now. So one more return on the bottom side, which tucks under and actually goes to the floor piece and spots together. And that's sorted out now, so that's this piece made. I can't go further forward with it because it's got an underlap, but I've got plenty of height if I need to add these beads. If I do cut that off there and I see that it's still rotted pretty far, I can just add just the tips of the beads. It's the same as this. So now I can unpick that area further and then concentrate on making this. Ready to trim up and fit once the existing one is removed. So lower quarters sorted out, ready to fit on. I'm going to take this panel off here because I've got to remake the lower of it anyway, so I'm probably going to cut up a bit higher, that way I can get to my join, otherwise I can't planish it back out. Now I'd have to go even higher up, so be strategic, and I'll chop this section out so I've got access. And for the inner, I'm not going to disturb any of this area, I'm just going to do a patch which joins along the bottom there, which I have access to from the other side. So I've got access right here before I make this wheel well piece. So it's all just a little strategic puzzle that you got to do layer by layer until you get to the area you want. So all this has to come off just to get to this floor area, but if you were to go monkey style and just hack it all out, then you've got no reference points of where things actually have to be. The passenger side doesn't seem to be rotted as much. I'll probably have to do the same support piece, but the side that I just made won't have to be done. It's got that basic shape with magnets. I only really need this radius and where that fold ends up, so pretty simple shape. I'll just trim the paper down now and transfer it to steel. So I go to the guillotine, trim that edge off, and I'll trim this edge off here, and then I just got to run the tipping wheel on this, probably like 6 or so laps until it tips over. Yeah, I just went to bead roll it and I'm like, hang on a minute, the fold's got to go the other way. Piece's got to go here and the fold's got to come out. Remark it. Okay, retransferred. Now back to the bead roller. And as we can see, tipping over fine on the straights, but as we come to the corner, it wants to start peeling down. So just put this in the kick shrinker, just give that a bit of a squeeze till it comes back gradually flat, and then just keep doing laps until it tips over 90. So there's a little step up that jumps up onto the rail piece. So I've added that in, and it'll fit once I trim it down to height. Trim down, and so you can see it will fit. It's the exact same size as the existing piece, so this is where internally overlapping it won't work. This is the same size piece. Now that I've made all these pieces that are going to get damaged once I try and remove the floor, I want to try and keep the floor intact so I can use it as a template. So I have to add these little matte pieces, and I've got to add one more drain, I think, to the indentation for the accelerator pedal. Also have to make the underfloor braces, which are all mangled and crushed. So I've got all these spot welds to drill out, and then the underside ones that plug to the bottom of the rail as well. Should be fun. Now all the top ones, easy enough to drill through, but the bottom, because I haven't got the car in an easy spot to do these, the drill hits the top of the floor, so I might just slit up and just run along it. That way I've still got a reference mark of where that fold's got to be for the floor pans, and then I'll unpick that off separately once I get the floor out. And just for reference, I didn't butcher this plug weld, it's already a mess. Dissecting the layers now. This is the side piece I just made earlier. I'm going to take this piece off now. So just destroying the inner that I've already made by buzzing the spots on this side, and then I have no holes in this side. I can actually use a spot welder and clamp along that factory. Now, this is why you have to get these pieces off, so you can get all this crust out of here and then properly clean up and paint all these areas so that they don't rot any further. Now you can see that the outer sill doesn't actually attach to the floor and the inner rocker. So it's got its own separate lip here, which I'm assuming carries a lot of strength for the car because it has such thin little pillars up top. And that's the piece that I've already made there, so the floor will spot to this. Just another water catchment area. His water will drip down, get it all in behind here and just rot all this out. So it's a pretty disaster design, but what can you do? So I just shortcut along the floor after I drilled the spots out, that way I can get to them nicely and not rip all this up. I don't need the floor as much, but yeah, the floor goes all the way to this slip here, and we needed it off so that we could see what's happening there inside the rail. So I've got to clean all inside the rail out, clean up all these lips, paint all this before the floor's going back on. So floor's out now, just going around, just cleaning up all the edges. Just got a wire wheel or blast in there with a little hand blaster, and just deox, prime it all, and then got to remake this little section. As I was unpicking the floor off it, it's just so brittle, so I'll join there just in between so you don't see it. I'll just put that little section back on. A lot of work. So I've made my side piece for here, for this rusted out piece. I'm just giving a test fit of the other two pieces now, and I'm going to mark the internal rail fold down on the floor pan now, which will be along this area here. I've got to mark the fold there, and these are the rail supports I've got to recreate as well. They go end to end and side to side. Another set of hands would be so nice right now. I'm trying to scribe that line that's on the inside of the rail there that folds down so that it can spot to along it. And with one person, it's a strategic nightmare. So I've just marked along this edge here, which is this fold of the floor pan. So it's marked on this side, but I need the fold the other way, so I'm going to mark 20mm lip on this side, trim it off, flip it over, and then mark 20mm backwards, and that's my tip line. So I've just got it roughly clamped in place so that I can do this front fold and mark it. But it seems to be fitting pretty good. Not really going to complain much. So I've done this front fold to meet up to the wheel well. Now I've just got to stretch this edge here to start ramping the floor up, because you can see in here off the rail, so, the height of the floor has come up, and there's another little drop down I've noticed at the front fold here, which tapers this drop down to nothing and lets it meet up with this piece. So now that I have the floor out, I can accurately see how much it ramps up here to meet the slip, which is marked here. So I'll add that in now, that ramp up. I've got a little return fold to add here for the front footwell, and then I've got to ramp this up by stretching this lip up as well, so it gets this curve. And then there's just a little blend out into nothing for this dip down, so I'll run that along there as well. Using combination of two mallets, this dolly to bring this shape in around this corner and sweep it into the lip. So slowly coming along now, it's sort of roughed out. I've just got to address this lip because it's obviously changing shape as it's pulling down so much. The lip's just going wherever it wants. So I'm just going to chuck it back in the car just to make sure I'm heading in the right path. I was confused on why it was just holding me off so much, and turns out I've done the fold the wrong way, idiot, because that just wants to hit on the rail. So flip that fold around. Other than that, getting closer. So a fair amount of whacking to shape that little front footwell area in, but we're getting there. It's pretty close now. Just all clamped in position. Can start adding the next pieces on, just to make sure it's all fitting up together nicely. So now I can just push these together till they meet, and then go along and planish all these dents out to smooth this area right up, because it's just roughed in at the moment. I can TIG on my slits up for the fold, but I'm definitely heading in the right direction. Now I've just welded up the 2 slits that I had here. Just needed to relieve so much to lay out, and just tacked the folds together for there to hold them in the right spot. So just going to planish all this area smooth and sit back in the car. Still got to address all the damage around all here, but that'll come later on. I've got a drain to add here in this floor area. I didn't want to add that until I'd finished with this shape. I wasn't sure what it would do, how it would react if I was stretching so far down with a drain already in there. So getting pretty close now. It's nearly the exact same shape. Just got to go and blend this area nice now, and then draw my drain on, add my drain once this area is flat and nice. So very close now to the shape. It's pretty much bang on. Just got to add the drain here, then just tidy up all around these beads where it's seen. Really it's tight along there, so I'm not going to worry too much about this edge. It's under the rail, but yeah, just go around and just chase around all the beads. There's little blends and stuff that need to be sorted out. Coming together. So here's some of the panels laid out on the ground as a little flat pack. I really would like to see all the panels I've made next to one of the cars one day. Just lay them all out on the floor in the workshop and get an aerial shot. So that's the floor trial fitted in now. I'm going to drill that drain hole, mark all or any plug holes that need to be done, spray the weld through primer on any areas that are going to get butted together, and yeah, pretty much ready to start fitting it really. Tricky shape, that one. And as for times, it's 3 hours to replicate this lower quarter and add these stupid things in. So some things happen quicker than expected. Then there was a day to unpick the floor pan neatly so I could reference off it, and then remove the inner sill and any other conflicting areas that were going to be in the way. And then there was one more day, a 7-hour day, just to modify the floor pan further, add the divot in for the front, and prep it all and get it all in the car as you see it now. So pretty much just over 2 days spent on that. It was one 7-hour day, one 8-hour day, and then 3 hours for the lower quarter. Working my way to bigger and more complex panels. I really want to try a roof. Maybe the end of the year, maybe Christmas holidays, I'll try and do a roof skin. So that's where I'm at the moment. I'm going to remove everything, drill my drain hole, prime any weldable areas that are overlapped with weld through primer, mark all my spot or plug welds that need to happen, and then get a little hand sandblaster and blast inside these rails and any other areas that I can't get to with a sander, and then epoxy all in there so that's all sealed. And then I'll start putting it all back together. That way we can get it all layer by layer all together, epoxy all in as far as I can get it, try and get the car as sealed as we can get it to prevent this from ever happening again. So thanks for watching, and post up shortly.